It's like,
Oh, now I'm gonna have to work for it.
yeah,
Okay.
now.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Trenton 365 show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. You are watching over WPHY, Channel 25 in Mercer County, New Jersey, listening live over WIMG 1300 on the AM dial, and streaming over the website, WIMG 1300. You can find out more about Trenton 365 by visiting our website, Trenton365.com, and following us on Twitter at Trenton 365, and the Facebook page, Trenton 365 Show. In the studio with me is Trenton 365 contributor, entrepreneur, author, and public speaker Kimberly Ferguson, and of K-Ferg Speaks. And Kimberly's going to be talking about a lot of different things, mainly focusing on some of her projects that she has in the works. But I want to bring your attention to her book, Marketing You, Be Strategic, a God-centered approach to your professional development. And the reason why I say that is we're working on having a small group of people come together, and Kimberly is going to walk us through the process of developing a strategic plan, professional development for individuals. And it doesn't matter what level of individual you are. If you're already working, you're underemployed, looking to do something different, maybe start a new business, etc. And Kimberly's going to be talking about that tonight, as well as leading a small group discussion. And again, the book, Marketing You, Be Strategic. This book is a very quick and easy read, less than 100 or so pages, but very insightful, some real-world examples, etc. So without any further ado, Kimberly Ferguson, welcome back to the Trenton 365 show.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So Kimberly, I gave a little bit about who you are. We're going to shorten things up. Just give your elevator speech about who you are, and then let's jump right into what you'd like to discuss tonight.
Okay, so again, Kimberly A. Ferguson, professional development trainer. What I do through my company, K-Ferg Training, is I go out to different organizations and I provide workshops to help people get better at what they do. I work with various organizations, so I'm working with organizations like the City of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia International Airport. I work with, right now, through JVS, I'm working with ShopRite, Wakefern. So I get the opportunity to go into different companies and do workshops. But this summer alone, I've had a wonderful summer. I've been able to do more conferences, more speaking engagements. So I'm really able to get out there and get the message, helping folks empower themselves through some of the different tools that I provide.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk about empowering themselves or ourselves, individuals, just give a little synopsis of some of the things that are in your book about how people can be empowered to get that next job, to get that promotion, or to kind of get out of the trench that they're in and try something different.
But so in Marketing You, Be Strategic is a career development book. It's God-centered, so it's a faith-based book. And it's all about ways that we can take our careers to the next level, all while keeping God at the center. So some of the things I focus on, we start with, well, first of all, strategic is an acronym. It's an acronym for the characteristics that a successful career development strategy should have. And it starts with S, which is self-assessment based. So I encourage everyone to take time to really assess where they are. Who are you? What is important to you? How do you define success? What does it look like for you? Not just, a big house on a hill with a white picket fence, more than that. So what does it look like in terms of happiness? What does it look like in terms of finances? What does success truly look like? And we walk through that in the book. We talk about having a targeted approach, a resource-driven approach. So taking a look at my resources. Who do I have access to? And we're going to talk a little bit more about networking a little bit later as we discuss. But really taking a look at our resources and taking the time to do our research, do our homework, so that I'm not just going after the job with the money, but I'm going after the job that fits my definition of what success looks like.
And that's fantastic. And something else that I've said on numerous occasions about this book is that it's action driven. I mean, oftentimes people of faith say, I'm going to pray on it.
That's right.
And I'm going to sit here until God answers my prayer, when God's answer to the prayer may be to do something. Can you just talk about the action steps?
Yes. So when we talk about it being action driven, and it's exactly what you say. Sometimes, as people of faith, we say, you know what, I'm just going to wait on God. And absolutely, we want God to be at the center, but God wants us to do something. He gives us something. He gives us some action. He gives us direction. I mean, I always share my testimony with you, how I had it in me. I wanted to move on. I wanted to start my business. I wanted to leave corporate, and I was praying on it. And God was telling me to take the leap. But I was still waiting, still sitting there waiting. And people were telling me, I was getting word from all different people saying, it's time to move, it's time to take that leap. I was hearing from him, and I'm still sitting there. And finally, when I took that action and really started to listen to what he was placing in my spirit, I was able to move from working in corporate and really starting my business and growing from there. So.
And I want you to talk a little bit about the peaks and valleys, because oftentimes we think, okay, if I step out in faith to do what I really feel God is calling me to do, then everything's going to be fine. There won't be any problems. But that's oftentimes not the case. Sometimes as soon as you step out in faith is when you hit that valley.
Right. So that's, for me especially, a lot of people have said, especially on Facebook, people have said, you make it look so easy. Or even when I come on the show, people say it sounds so easy. And it's not easy. It's not always easy. But the one thing, and we talked about this, I think the last time I was here, the idea of failure, that failure, we need to risk failure. So we need to be aware of the fact that there are going to be challenges and recognize that we'll grow from them, we'll learn from those challenges. So one of the things that I always tell folks is that failure gets us one step closer to success, that no gets us closer to that yes. And I remember when I first stepped out, I had submitted a proposal to a company, and I just knew I was it. And I was one of several people that they called back, and they were interested in. And they called me up and they said, "What's the name of your book?" And at that time, I didn't have a book. And they said, what certifications do you have? And I didn't have the certifications that they wanted me to have for that particular opportunity. So that door was shut. So a year later, I went back to them and let them know all the things that I had done during that year. I let them know that my book was out and available, that I had these certifications, and that I had done these different speaking engagements, and I had these clients. And that same door that closed was a door that opened for me later. So understanding that too, sometimes that challenge is just a lesson. Sometimes that failure is just a step to get us where we need to be. It's that push.
And in the acronym strategic, one of the words I like to focus on just for a couple of moments is tenacious. And I want you to talk about the tenacity that you had to show to have your book written, to leap out in faith, to start your business, and then to continue to progress in your business.
So that piece wasn't always easy, and the beautiful thing is that I had people in my corner. I had people pushing me, and in those moments where I was thinking, I can't do this, or in those moments where I said, I'm just going to go back and get a 9 to 5, I always had that, I had that push behind me. And sometimes that push was, just hearing words that my mother had said to me years ago, just having that in my spirit, like, you can do it, you can keep going, you can keep pushing, and being tenacious, just holding on and saying, I can do it, and praying on it, because that was a big piece of it. In those times where I felt like I couldn't do it, and those times where, because that first door that closed in my face, that hurt. That hurt, especially because I thought that you couldn't tell me that I wasn't the best thing since sliced bread. So, having that door closed was a reality check, but it also put things into perspective for me and helped me understand what I needed to do. And so that tenacity piece, the ability to push through that, has not only helped me there, but it's also helped me help others. Because now that I've been through that, and not to say that's the only thing that I'm going to go through, because I've had a ton of doors close in my face, but knowing how to maneuver that, knowing how to navigate it. And sometimes that door closes because it's just not for me. That opportunity was just not for me.
And I think that's a perfect segue to something that you've mentioned in the early portion of your book, when you talk about operate as the CEO of that business, and summarizing, meaning the CEO of you, yourself, your family, which is a series that I'll be working on soon with Bart Jackson of Bart's Books and Prometheus Publishing, and I'm sure I'll be bringing Kimberly A. Ferguson into this as well. But Kimberly, just talk about the importance of looking at things from the approach of being a CEO, a chief executive officer or chief operating officer of your own business.
Yes, and of your life. So in that piece specifically in the book, I'm talking about being the CEO of you, having control of your life. Operate your life like it's a business. Think about the big businesses that do really well. Think about your favorite business, your favorite brand. How do they operate? And think about operating your life in that way. So taking control, and really at the core of that is having control of your life. And planning. So think about, okay, my book is Marketing You Be Strategic. So strategy's at the core. What happens in big business is strategy is executed. How are we executing strategy in our own personal lives? So it's all about the planning. What plan am I going to put in place, and how am I going to take action on that plan?
Mm-hmm. And finally, we've often talked about the importance of branding, and that even though you are an individual, you're still particularly a brand, and the importance of how that brand is represented and how you use, and I use, social media. Okay. Can you just talk about those two things?
Just being consistent across all platforms. I mean, that's the advice that I give to folks. What you see on social media should be the same thing that you see if you see me walking in the street. So that being consistent across every platform. Because if I want you to see me as a trusted resource, I need to be sure that everything that I'm putting out in every area is trustworthy. So think about what it is that you want people to take away when they're dealing with you. What do you want people to think of when they think of Jacque? What do you want them to think of? And start to execute in that way. I'm doing a workshop. It's funny you asked that question. I'm doing a workshop in a couple of weeks for Rutgers Biz Ed on personal branding. I've been doing it for the past few years now for that program. And it's so important for them to understand, they're young people, to help them understand, but also for us to understand, to be careful about what we're putting out there on social media, because once you put it out there, it's out there. And being mindful of that, and also thinking about those of us that are looking for jobs, or even those of us that might be looking for jobs down the line. Be careful with what you're putting out there now. You've seen it in the news. People's lives completely shut down, their jobs ruined because of something they put out on Twitter. So being mindful of that is really very important.
It's fantastic. I'm speaking with Kimberly A. Ferguson of K-Ferg Speaks. She's a professional development trainer, an entrepreneur, as well as an author, and her book, which I'm encouraging folks to contact her about, Marketing You Be Strategic, a God-centered approach to career development. And Kimberly, myself, and others who are willing to join with us in a small group to walk through the actual process of this book and to develop a strategic plan for how you want to get a new job, change careers, launch that business. And we'll be able to do that. Kimberly and I will be sitting down, and we're inviting you to come join us for free, hang out, get a chance to get to know us a little bit, and then we'll go through Kimberly's book, Marketing You Be Strategic. Kimberly, share your contact information, please.
Sure. So again, Kimberly A. Ferguson. I can be reached via email at info@kferg.com. You can also find me at kfergspeaks.com. You can find me on social media, K-Ferg Speaks, across just about every platform, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can find me as K-Ferg Speaks.
Awesome. Now let's change gears a little bit and talk about something that you launched in 2015 that I'm super excited about. And you gave me a little tidbit that you're going to have me come along and be on your show as well. Talk about Strategic Television, Strategic Minds Television. I'm sorry.
Okay. So strategicminds.tv is an online empowerment series. And it was really, the idea of it was born out of the book, Marketing You Be Strategic, but it goes beyond some of the things that we talk about in Marketing You Be Strategic, because I'm using resources other than myself. I'm tapping into the resources in my network to get folks information and tools that they can use to take their lives to the very next level. So what we've been able to do through the series, we've interviewed different professionals, different areas, different industries. So for example, I've had Lisa Ascalise, the inventress. So many of you probably know her. You've seen her on QVC, but she is an amazing resource. And she recently launched an organization called the Association of Women Inventors and Entrepreneurs. And so she was my first interview. And let me tell you, that particular episode, I got people reaching out to me, wanting to contact Lisa, people that contacted her as a result of the show and started to work with her. So the power of networking was happening immediately. Some other folks that I've had on the show, I've had Shartia Brantley, who is the host or one of the co-hosts of Women of Power on TV One. I've had life coaches. I've had Purvis Taylor. He's a celebrity life coach. So I've had him on the show. I've had Gerard Kersey, he's a social media expert. So what I do is I interview folks. So every episode has one interview where I spend about 10 minutes interviewing that person, and they share some of their tools, some of their tips, some of their techniques for success, but they also share some of their personal story. I had Cindy Ashton, who is amazing. She's absolutely amazing. She's actually launching a show on a national show in the fall, and she told her story, and it was such a powerful episode because she really got into some personal stuff there. So, but folks come on the show, they share their story, they share tips, information, and then the other piece that is a little bit different is that I have people from across the country, actually across the world. I had a gentleman who sent something in from Egypt, but I have people from across the world that send segments in. Again, 3 minutes, teaching something. I asked them to teach something, and something hard-hitting. So just come right out the gate teaching, as opposed to taking the time to promote themselves, because we do that for them. So really just taking the time to teach. It's a 30-minute show, and it's been amazing. It's been an amazing ride.
And folks, if you haven't really noticed, I mean, you can see that this is something that fully encompasses everything that Kimberly A. Ferguson is doing through Ferg Speaks, and you can find more information by reaching out to her via email, info@kferg.com. So you can see there's this whole encompassing idea of developing and improving the person as an individual, action steps, and for them to take that information and to actually move on and move forward with it, to professionally develop yourselves. And so Strategic Minds TV, what's the easiest way for people to find links to that?
Okay, they can go to strategicminds.tv. They can also, I can't believe I didn't mention this. They can also join our Facebook group. It's called the Strategic Minds Group, and it's on Facebook, so definitely check that out. I have, right now, we just recently launched it, and I have more than 1,600 folks on there, and people come on and they share strategy, they share video, they share inspiration. The other day, I had a woman come on. When people come on, I welcome them and just kind of, ask them to share a little bit about what they do. Had a woman come on. She shared about her book and what she does. Another person was on there and said, "Hey, I'm really very interested in that. I want a copy of that for my wife. How do I get that?" So they were networking right there on the site. So the networking is happening all around us. It's happening through the show. It's happening in the group. But that's a great way to get involved. And I'm looking for contributors. So I'm always looking for contributors for the show. So go to strategicminds.tv, go to the Strategic Minds group on Facebook, and you can absolutely connect with us.
And I'm super giddy, folks, if you can't tell.
Can't tell.
Because Kimberly is someone who, wasn't that long ago, that many years ago, where she said, "Hey, look, I'm being led to do something, and I need to take action with these steps." And it wasn't a simple euphoric, I'm going to do it, and everything fell into place. Right. And the next thing you know, you've got a TV program, and you've got a book out, and you're being asked by the city of Philadelphia or ShopRite to come and do presentations and training classes. No, there's peaks and valleys, ebbs and flows, and that's for everyone. It just so happens that she's got a glamorous lifestyle for the most part because of the business that you're in. And I say that because I guess I'm self-motivating myself as well because, when you're involved in media and you're in radio and television, there is a bit of glamour that goes with it, but that doesn't mean that everything is perfect. Yeah. We have some hard times, hard discussions, conversations. We have to make strategic decisions, sometimes hard decisions with lots of different things, and it's an encouragement to other people because we're in this position and we're thankful to be in this position, but we're in this position because we believe that this is something that we're supposed to do.
Yes.
And for us to do it, we need to share it and to give it away so that other people can reap the benefits of it, especially if you're someone who's a person of faith, because that is what our faith is really about, sharing the wonderfulness of the spiritual blessings that we have in Christ. So that's my preaching moment for tonight's show.
Amen.
So Strategic Minds TV. Where do you see that going? Because again, it seems as though I'm sure you had some sort of a plan of exactly what you wanted to do, some sort of a timeline. And it seems like everything is coming into place. You've got your training sessions going on, your book is out and people are reading it. You're doing lots of different things in social media and regular media. So now you've got Strategic Minds Television. What's next?
So right now we're, and I can't say too much, but we're in talks right now with another platform that we are hoping to launch Strategic Minds on that will get more eyes on it. When we originally launched it, because my husband and I work on the show together, when we originally launched it, it was really all around the empowerment piece. So I was thinking about what I was doing in corporate and the fact that I had people reaching out and saying, how can I come to a workshop that you're doing? And I really didn't have anything that I could send people to, except for, when I do conferences here and there. But so I was thinking, how can I pull everything together? When we're talking about tools, when we're talking about resources, what's a great way? And to use the people that I had access to, because I have access to such a wonderful network of people. So being able to use those folks and take other people's lives to the next level. But what do I see for Strategic Minds .tv? Hopefully, if all things go as planned, moving to this next platform, which would get more eyes on it. I've also used it for personal purposes as well. I've used it to help market myself. So I've used it to help with different conferences. For example, I did the Kittypreneur conference last month, and I used Strategic Minds TV as part of my package to say, this is what I do, and I'm really interested in being a part of your panel, blah, 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 and was selected. So I use it also to market myself. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Oh, that's great. And so we've also talked on several occasions about the importance of social media as a marketing tool. Can you just chat a little bit more about that as well?
So I am still, and every time you ask me that question,
that's why I keep asking.
I say I'm still growing, I'm still learning. I mentioned Gerard Kersey a little bit before, the social media guru. He is the one that helps me as far as consulting and telling me what I should be doing. For example, today he sent me a message and said, you're going to be on WIMG tonight and you haven't posted anything. Like, where are your posts? And I had posted, but I posted as part of one of our previous posts. He's like, that's not good enough. So he's, schooling me on some of the things that we should be doing. I met this woman. I had gone to another networking event. So you hear I keep talking about networking. I met this woman, John Viev. She is incredible as far as using her social media, and she's always on it, and she's marketing herself, and she has an amazing following. We were walking out the door, and a woman stopped her and said, hey, I know you from your social media. So using it as a tool to really market yourself and put yourself out there, it's huge, and it's helped me. When we talk about Strategic Minds, a number of the people that have been on the show have been people I met on social media. Cindy Ashton, I was following her and sent her a message and said, hey, I have this show, sent her a link to some of the previous episodes, and said, would you like to be on it? And she wanted to be a part of the show. So I use it as a tool to reach out to folks. There are folks that I'm talking to right now that I met through social media. There's an actress who was recently on Orange is the New Black. I reached out to her on social media about being on the show, and she's interested in being on the show. So using it as a tool to connect, but also to market myself, to kind of put out different blurbs. And again, the Strategic Minds group. I mean, I have a great group of folks people I've never met in person that are sharing and rooting each other on. It's huge. Yeah.
And folks, again, there's a theme to this, and there's a reason behind it. We can build a better community for everyone, but we need to have everybody get in the game. We really don't need any Monday morning quarterbacks. We really don't need a bunch of other coaches. We need people who want to get into the game and people who want to be successful at the game.
Yes.
And to get in where you fit in. No one's saying that everyone needs to do the exact same thing, and this is one of the things that I have a problem with when I think about faith centers as a whole. Maybe not every church or faith center needs to have a child care facility or an after-school program or a food pantry. Maybe you ought to find something else to do that's more fitting. And it's the same thing with our lives. Maybe we need to be involved with some people who can help coach us, some people who can help edify us, who can say, hey, look, Kimberly, keep doing what you're doing with your social media, with your professional development and your speaking engagements, etc. And then someone else can come along, like Christ so eloquently put in one of his parables, just sow the seed. Someone else is going to come along and water it, and some's going to grow and some isn't. Let God take care of that.
Absolutely.
So, Kimberly, that's spot on. Share your contact information again before we come up on a break.
Sure. Kimberly A. Ferguson. I am info, I-N-F-O, at kferg.com. I'm also KFerg Speaks, just about on every social media platform, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And you can find me at kfergspeaks.com. Check out Strategic Minds at strategicminds.tv.
Awesome. Now, strategicminds.tv, again, this is something that is in its infancy. It's growing, and I know that you're looking for more views, etc. Will there be opportunities for people to possibly come to a show and see you live?
Wow. So that's really funny that you say that. We were talking about doing a panel, and your name came up, so stay tuned. But we were talking about doing a panel discussion and shooting that live so that we could have, shooting that and having folks in the audience. So we're exploring some different ways that we can get folks involved so that they can be a part of it. And again, this platform, the folks that I'm in discussions with, the way that it would work if I move forward with it is that not only would people be able to watch the show, but they'd also be able to engage while the show's airing. So we can talk to each other. I can answer questions. Some of the folks that are being interviewed can be a part of those discussions. So all different ways that we can get folks involved and engaged and connected.
And again, that's so encouraging because you're suggesting and motivating people to be involved in the process, to be in the game. So do you visualize people coming up to you on the street and asking you questions and taking a break from your everyday life to just sit down for a couple of moments and share some thoughts with people?
Well, I mean, I think at some point, if depending on where the show goes, I can see something like that happening. But I'm already seeing that just in the professional development world and what I do with the training. I have people that reach out to me after workshops. I had a gentleman. I did some workshops for CareerLink in Philadelphia, and I had a gentleman reach out and say, "Hey, I'm really interested in doing what you do. Can you be my mentor?" So it's those types of conversations that I find really rewarding, and I always take the time out to talk to folks when they have questions, because I know that there were folks that encouraged me. I used the example of Lisa Ascalise, who was one of my first guests. The reason that was so significant for me was because she was a big motivator for me. I met her at a conference. I met her at the Black Enterprise Conference, and just so incredibly humble. But the one thing that was so amazing was her desire to give back and her desire to help others. And that's what her association is all about. So when I think about myself, I want to be the same way. I want, when folks ask me for help or ask me, how do I do that? Or how did you do that? I share. And sometimes people say, well, when they ask others those same questions, that people kind of guard their information. But the reality is there's enough business out there for all of us. And what I offer, what I bring to the table is different from what you bring to the table. So someone might need what I have and not need what you have this time, but the next time someone might need it the way that you deliver it and not necessarily connect with the way that I deliver it.
And I often tell folks that competition is good. And, sometimes people say, there's so many people who are trying to do radio or are doing radio and stuff. How do you feel about it? I'm like, that's great.
Right.
That means that there's more eyes and more people are concerned about what's happening. So naturally, our market and our base is going to grow because there's more people who want to listen to the radio and follow on the internet and so forth. And I'd like that you have that same mindset, which is probably one of the reasons why you and I have connected.
Right.
We've got a couple of minutes before a break. I want you to just talk about the importance of mentors and people in your life who help to motivate you and encourage you.
So it's really very important to connect with someone who can encourage you and pour into you. But the key there with a mentorship, with a sponsorship, is that it needs to be a win-win. So it can't just be, okay, I come to you and I ask you to be my mentor, and you're doing all the pouring into me and giving me advice. And there needs to be value that I'm bringing to the table as well. So when folks look for a mentor, I encourage them to think about what you can bring to the table. What can you offer? Especially if you're looking for that mentor who, let's say you're looking at someone who's the head of a company, being sure that you let them know the value that you're going to bring, because that makes it a lot more likely that they'll want to work with you and mentor you.
That's it. Spot on, folks. Remember, regardless of the situation, it's not about helping we are partnering in this situation. And as Kimberly eloquently put, we each bring something to the table, and we have to look at each other's opinions, value those opinions as truth and as fact. May not be the same as ours, may not be exactly what we think or believe in. However, it is important for us to treat each other equally, because if we can't treat each other equally, that's a baseline and a foundation that nothing will ever be built on. So you're listening to the Trenton 365 show. My guest is Kimberly A. Ferguson of K-Ferg Speaks, also strategicminds.tv. You can find her television program there. She's also an author. And she's author of the book, Marketing You, Be Strategic, a God-centered approach to career development. And her and I are going to be getting together and offering this up to some other folks who want to join us for a small group discussion. We'll meet at a local place. We'll probably set it up with some great food, etc. And we'll go through the book. And Kimberly will not only instruct and guide me, but also you as well. And you'll get an opportunity to meet this fabulous young woman who is doing some amazing things. And I'm glad to call her a friend and a contributor to the Trenton 365 show. Thank you very much, Kimberly. As always, please share the contact information one more time.
Again, Kimberly A. Ferguson at kfergspeaks.com. You can find me on social media, K-Ferg Speaks. You can also find me at info@kferg.com.
Fantastic. We'll be back after a short break. I'm Jacque Howard. You're listening to the Trenton 365 show.
Tune in to Miracle Deliverance every Thursday night at 10:05 on your Stellar Award-winning station 1300 WIMG.
Men and women in war zones live with the possibility of dying every day. Our troops long for assurance about eternity. You can provide it through the Military Bible Stick, an audio New Testament with real hope for our heroes.
It allows me to hear the word and keep a strong faith in a dark place.
Through tough times, the Bible gives me a message of hope and love and better days to come.
Many nights while I'm out at my post, when frustration and depression set in, I can turn on the Military Bible Stick and find solace.
Give this powerful gift to those risking everything for you. $25 provides the Military Bible Stick for one troop to use anytime, anywhere. Make a life-changing difference for a hero. Visit militarybiblestick.com.
The Takeover Youth Conference is coming to Grace Cathedral Fellowship Ministries Friday, July 8th and Sunday, July 10th. On Friday, there will be a free will offering gospel concert featuring Generation Now, Jules Bartholomew and Judah Camp, Brother Haas, and more. Climaxing the conference on Sunday, Minister Kyle Sanders at 8 a.m. and co-pastor Jerome Barmore at 11 a.m. All taking place at Grace Cathedral Fellowship Ministries, 1217 Reverend S. Howard Woodson Jr. Way. Bishop Jerome S. Wilcox, host pastor.
Remember in the beginning, when you first started to build a life for you and your family? You never imagined it would come to this. Instead of living your dreams, you're living with debt. In fact, it's smothering you. Now there's a way you can take back control with one simple call. If you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you qualify to receive a free, no-obligation consultation on how to get rid of